Hello and welcome to another tutorial once again. In this tutorial we will see how to make an RTS camera which we can move with WASD and rotate with Q and E, and we will have a function that moves the camera based on the elevation. So you see, we can go up buildings and we don't make our camera move inside buildings. I'm using a stage that is from our own game, so you don't have to worry about that. So let's get started. I'll delete my camera and my own script. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna add is go to Edit, Project Settings, Input, and we're gonna add a new axis named Rotation. The negative button will be Q and the positive button will be E. Okay, gravity will be set to 3, sensitivity to 3, and that to 0.001. Now that we have our input, of course we will need a camera and we will need an empty game object that is gonna serve as our camera holder. Okay, so drop the camera inside, reset position is resetted. Let's bring this somewhere so we can see. So now let's make the camera have a more RTS view. So we bring the camera a little back so we can orbit around a center point and we don't rotate above it. So with this set we will add a new script. Okay, and we will drop it in our camera holder, not in our camera, because we have our camera in an angle. The way we will do it here, we hit W, with the camera will move forward, and we don't want to do that. We want to have the same, to keep looking at the same position. So that's why we use a camera holder instead. We move the camera holder instead of moving our own camera. Now let's open it. Zoom in. So we won't need the start. We will start by adding our variables. We will need a public float, which will be our horizontal speed. We'll give it a value of 40. We will need another one that is going to be our vertical speed, and we keep the value of 40. We will need one more that's gonna be our camera rotate speed. We'll give it an 80, and we will need another one that's gonna be our camera distance, at what distance we want our camera to be, and we need another internal check, and this will be the current distance of the camera. Now we go to update. We start by setting up our input, which will need a float that's gonna take a horizontal axis and it's going to multiply it by our horizontal speed, and this is going to be multiplied by time delta time. We do this because we want to have a more smooth movement. Okay, input get axis, this axis, the horizontal axis, goes from -1 to 1. Because 1 and -1 it's a little value, we multiply it with our speed so we can move in further distance. We will add one more for our vertical, which is the same. We will multiply it by our vertical speed, and this again by time delta time. And we will add one more float, that's gonna be a rotation, and we will get the new axis we made, which is rotation, and we will multiply that. No, we will keep it as it is. We won't multiply it here. So let's make our let's start moving our transform, and we're gonna do this with transform dot translate vector3 dot forward, multiply it by our vertical, and transform dot translate, and we will multiply it by our vector3 dot right multiplied by horizontal. Okay, so if we go back again with the code we have here, let's hit play. Now we can move. Okay, however, as you see, I'm going through inside buildings and stuff like that, and we haven't set a rotation. Let's stop that and let's go back to our script. Now we want to rotate, and we will say if our input rotation, or we can use the above, and we will say if rotation is not 0, meaning there is movement in our axis, we will rotate our transform with transform dot rotate on the vector3 dot up axis, and we will multiply this rotation with, we want to rotate with our rotation with our camera rotate speed multiplied by time dot delta time, and we want to be relative to the world. Okay, so with this we can now rotate by hitting Q and E, and now we want to make our camera to move independently, to, if there's an elevation, to automatically go further up, and if there's not, to go further down. The way we do this is with a raycast, and we will do a raycast. We will need our heat variable, and we will say if physics dot raycast transform dot position. We will start from our own transform. We want to have our direction will be downward, so we give it a negative transform dot up. We assign our variable and we'll say the distance of 100. Now we add our current distance float, this one, equals vector3 dot distance, our transform position with the hit dot point. Okay, this calculates the distance between two vectors. In our current situation, we want the distance between our transform position where the raycast hit. Okay, and we will say if our current distance is not equals our camera distance, we want to find the difference, and we find this by subtracting our camera distance with our current distance. And after that, we do a lerp from our previous position to the new position, which is our previous position with the added value, the difference with this difference, and this is by time dot delta time. So this is for this video. Okay, we do a raycast. If we find a collider, we find the difference between our transfer position and the previous collider, and if the distance is it's not the same as the camera distance we have set here, we find the difference and lerp our position from our previous transfer position to the same we want to have, to the height we want to have. Okay, so we add the difference to our y of our transform position. Save this, let's go back, let's hit play. Now you get a sneak peek from our upcoming game. As you see here, now the raycast, the object does a raycast straight down and finds some colliders on these buildings. Now it finds a collider on the road, it finds a collider on another building, another building, another building. We rotate with Q and E, and that's about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You will find also my previous videos over here, and next week or the next after that I'm going to start probably a new series. I haven't decided yet, so if you have any questions about this or suggestions about videos or anything like that, I've created a subreddit so we can have something like an archive So if others have questions, can see it from there and maybe help each other out and stuff like that. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe once again if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.